Cody Rhodes is fed up with the Bloodline's antics, and he made that clear on this week's edition of Monday Night Raw. We continue our Raw review here, looking at the final closing segment between Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes. If you watch this, you know it kind of started with Heyman coming out, after the main event. Cody defeats Grayson Waller. Heyman comes out surrounded by security guys, but officially he called it suspended NYPD officers. Only Heyman can tell stories like this. But you have Heyman coming out and basically threatening Cody to withdraw the challenge to The Rock, or else. That's the line that Heyman used here to try to add the threat to Cody that something will happen. The Bloodline will do whatever that the Bloodline usually does to kind of get back at Cody if he does not withdraw this challenge to The Rock. And I think here what you saw was finally, I don't even say finally, I think you started to see Cody. It's gone up a little bit each week now since the slap, right? Since the slap heard around the world with The Rock slapping Cody Rhodes at the WrestleMania 40 kickoff event in Las Vegas. But you've seen Cody start to turn it up a notch each week. It starts with him, kind of saying, all right, The Rock hit me, I'm going to have to hit you back. Then it kind of escalates into, okay, Cody, now he's challenging The Rock. He's getting a little more confident each time. And now this time you finally see Cody break to the point to where he's hauling off with chairs, knocking out, payment security guys here, and telling Paul Heyman that the Bloodline is not hunting him. He's hunting the Bloodline. And here's why I think this was the perfect development for Cody Rhodes on the road to WrestleMania 40. Again, we go back to what we've said before about Cody. Remember back even as AEW days, if you're watching him there, the question was always, when is Cody going to finally step up, and defend himself, basically? And you had everything, with Arn Anderson being his manager and all that, and Arn kind of talking about, what would happen if somebody comes up to Cody, and you had all the memorable stuff that came out of that. But essentially, the message, of course, was, Cody, you've got to sort of find that whatever side that is, right? Whatever that side is of you stepping up and defending yourself, not being just the nice guy, not just being the hero that goes around shaking hands, kissing babies, all this other stuff. You've got to embrace that side where you've got to, again, stand up for yourself, basically. And I think this was something that was really important because this is what you wanted to see from Cody, saying that, everything that the bad guys are pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, giving you that really two words that says, or else, like, oh no, like instead of being worried, instead of being scared, we had to see what we saw from Cody Rhodes here, and that was him not backing down from any threats from the Bloodline anymore, not backing down from Paul Heyman with his two cell phones up in the air, which I thought was just, it's classic Paul Heyman. He's got one with Roman Reigns, got one with the Rock's thing on the back of the cell phone, just perfect for Paul Heyman, but that's just how it works with Paul when it comes to these kind of segments. But Cody is not backing down from this. He's not going to hide. He's going at this head on. And again, this is just your typical storytelling 101, right? Like the hero, the antagonist, all this other stuff. Like the Bloodline, they're the antagonist. The Rock has entered the picture. He's kind of that last big thing. Now, all of a sudden, you think the hero's about to just burst through and find his way out. Well, the roadblock has now just stepped right in front. It's the biggest challenge he's ever had. The point of no return, right? That's the hero's journey line. The point of no return here for Cody Rhodes. The Rock is here now. Wow, everything stacked against Cody at this point. Does he back down? Does he fight his way through? And I think this was the reaction that you wanted to see from Cody. Even just the line itself, right? He's the one hunting the Bloodline, but it's also just the, saying essentially he's done with the Bloodline's BS, right? He's not taking this anymore. And now I think is what you want to see, because they have to build this up week after week after week now. And again, we still got a little ways to go before we get to WrestleMania 40. We know The Rock's going to respond on Friday on SmackDown when he makes his return, but I think this was kind of the aggression. This was the character development you needed to see from Cody Rhodes here to believe that, okay, Cody's not just going to react anymore, right? He's going to be the one taking action, and we saw it a little bit on this episode. He's taking action now. He's called out The Rock. He accepts whatever comes from that. Heyman threats aside. He doesn't care what Paul Heyman does to threaten him, anything like that. Cody is willing to go into the belly of the beast here and go after the Bloodline, the people who have essentially costed him everything. They prevented him from finishing the story, Now he's going to do whatever it takes to try to do that. He's not scared anymore. He's ready to go after these guys. And so I think, again, this was very important just from a character standpoint, not to kind of have a situation where Heyman comes in, threatens Cody, and then you kind of have Cody sitting there unsure of what to do next, right? You don't want to put him in that position. You want him to be as confident as he's ever been. And now also knowing that maybe in the back of Cody's mind, he's got the help from Seth Rollins. He knows that Rollins is there if he needs Seth. And I think, again, that's what's probably going to lead to, we've all predicted it, right? It's going to lead to something with The Rock on Friday that hints towards the tag team match with The Rock and Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on night 1 of WrestleMania to lead us into the night 2 main event of Cody Rhodes challenging Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. So I think, again, this was the best way I think you could have gone about having Cody react to everything that Paul Heyman said, and it just continues to up the stakes, and it continues to up the risk, too, for Cody. Again, venturing into this, knowing that he's being threatened, all this other stuff, he's gone toe-to-toe with the bloodline. It hasn't fared well for Cody. And now, though, he doesn't care. He's got to finish the story, and I thought this was a really good segment to push that forward, knowing what we're going to get on Friday with The Rock making his return. How does The Rock now go about responding to the challenge from Cody Rhodes? I've laid that out in another video. Are we actually going to get a Cody Rhodes versus The Rock match? And I sort of pointed out, spoiler alert here, that I think it's all going to depend on what ultimately are the motivations for The Rock. Does he wind up turning on Roman Reigns now, meaning at WrestleMania 40, or is this a longer game involving The Rock and Cody Rhodes, and maybe we don't get that official turn till later down the road? I would probably still be willing to bet that it's going to happen at WrestleMania 40, and then that sets up The Rock versus Roman Reigns either at SummerSlam or next year's WrestleMania, at WrestleMania 41. But there's a lot of ways you can go with this, with the way that they've sort of, the direction they've chosen since this thing first started. It puts everything now in The Rock's court. He has the ball. He has to make the decision on what to do with it. And I think, again, we will get something out of this now that we move closer and closer to WrestleMania. With each show, we're getting closer. So you've got to, I think, get on with probably making that tag team match official, unless they are going to do this one-on-one match between Cody and The Rock, which I don't see happening necessarily. I just don't know if this is going to be the setup here, because you did do the WrestleMania 40 teaser trailer. You did everything with the kickoff event, and it all surrounded 4 guys. It was The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins. Even though Seth has, the match against Drew McIntyre, which I think is actually more interesting when you think about it now, because if Seth does wind up in this tag team match on night 1, you have Seth going into the next night having to face a fresh Drew McIntyre, and all the things Drew can do with that from a promo standpoint of just, talking about excuses and all this other stuff once he wins the championship and all that. So a lot of fun, I think, to be had with this entire story. But as I said, I think this was a great development from the character standpoint of the American Nightmare. Cody Rhodes did exactly what you wanted to see the hero do in this situation, and now it sets up the response from The Rock on this week's SmackDown. But appreciate you guys watching, and as always, let me know what you thought of this particular segment, Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman, and Cody's response to the threats from the Bloodline, and what do you think we're going to see from The Rock on this week's SmackDown? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always enjoy talking wrestling with you guys, so hit that subscribe button, new channel here, and a lot of fun to get your feedback on everything on the road to WrestleMania 40. But appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you again here soon at Wrestling Reaction.